Hello, YouTubers. This is Angela Logan with Everyday Shenanigans. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to bring you an update to the Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey case. As I speak, as of yesterday, the attorneys for Brendan Dassey are seeking to get a pardon from the Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers, and we will see how that plays out. They are going to, I guess, introduce the audio of Mr. Brendan's confession at the time when he was interviewed by the police. Many felt like he was coerced into admitting that he helped kill Teresa Hallback with his uncle, Stephen Avery. I watched the audio tape myself when I was watching Making of a Murderer that aired on Netflix, and it does seem that he never volunteered any information in the who, the what, the why, the when. Everything was done by the cops as far as putting the words and information on the table. Never once did he say, I went here, there, did this, did that, at this time, did this, did that. They basically would bring up something pertaining to the dead lady, and then he would go ahead and agree, but never once did he specifically come out and say, hey, this is what happened at this time, blah, 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 blah. So we will see how this plays out. We'll see if the Wisconsin governor will give him clemency, will grant him a pardon. I don't know. I mean, because I'm still like on the fence if he actually helped his uncle kill this girl. I mean, like I had said in my previous video, Brendan comes across to me at the time of the video. I mean, at the time of the interrogation and everything, he seemed very childlike. He had a very low IQ for a child. He was very quiet, very somber in attitude and demeanor. And if you had seen him in that video, you wouldn't think that he had it in him to deliberately kill someone or go out seeking to kill someone. If anything, I could see him being coerced. Yes, I could, just from his demeanor. Because you see, if he was easily to go along with, let's just say he's innocent, he went along and gave the police what they wanted to hear so they could wrap up that case. He could have just as easily went along with helping kill that girl with his uncle. Because naturally the uncle's older, more savvy. This child was very somber in attitude. And I still pray that he didn't, commit this heinous crime. Of course, some people think that Mr. Avery, the uncle, was set up by the police. But, one also has to use their brain and say, well, it's a whole lot that still points to looking like you did it, because the young lady's car was found on his salvage yard. Her remains were found in the back of his house at a burn site and a burn barrel used to burn her remains. So, it's kind of like, who would have the audacity to risk going to your property and dump her bones out there? Because they would have to have burned her body from another site and then carry them over there to the back of his house without being caught, without being seen, drop them off and leave the scene. It's pretty risque. So I just wanted to give you all this update about Brendan Dassey, who's, going to be 30 in the next couple of weeks. He will have a 30th birthday coming up. So we will see what the governor decides. I don't know. The article may claim that the governor is a Democrat. Maybe he will have leniency on him, considering that he was a young man at the time, 16 years of age when this crime took place, and when he was arrested for the crime, he was 16 years old. So maybe the governor will have favor on him. I don't know. But like I said, it's a very interesting tale, and there will be another documentary coming out in 2020. It is called Convicting of a Murderer. It is in no way affiliated with Making of a Murderer. I don't know which network will air this documentary, but it is in no way affiliated with Making of a Murderer, as I had stated before in a previous video. But this will be the prosecution's take on the case and what was entailed in them going forward with prosecuting Mr. Avery and Brendan Dassey. I must say it's a very riveting tale, and it's I'm sure many people go back and forth on trying to decide, did these two commit this crime? And I tell you, it's crazy. But like I said before, the only reason why I think these producers, directors, whoever made this film is because it was hard to believe that a man who was wrongfully accused of sexually assaulting a woman was given 18 years and then gets out, and in less than 2 years of being released from prison would go out and kidnap a woman and kill her. It's hard to believe that. It's so hard to believe that. I don't care who a person is. If they went to prison and then an innocent project comes along and say, hey, we're going to take your case and go and look into your case, and then they take DNA and take it to the lab, and the lab comes back and says, oh, this ain't the guy that raped that lady, you're not going to think that once you take this evidence to the court and the court says, okay, we're going to release this person from prison who's done almost 20 years, you are not in your right mind going to think they're going to go out here and do exactly what they was convicted of the first time, but exonerated 18 years later. And I think that's why the documentary was made, my opinion, because it was just a hard tale to fathom. And even now in my mind, it's like, this man could not have been this crazy to do this, and he just did 18 years. But I'm going to tell you something that I've never said in my videos, because like I said, it's so hard to remember every little thing, that's on your mind and details of a case or whatever. While I was watching Making of a Murderer, one thing that struck me was this. In opposition to why would a man do this after 18 years? What fool would do this to himself? One thing I thought was maybe he was angry. He was angry at the system. He was angry with the police department of that town because they did not like him. He was not highly favored in that town. His family was not highly favored. They were thought of as working class, trash people, poor people. Not liked by many, not cared for by many. They tend to hang to themselves. They didn't fraternize with a lot of town folk. Maybe he did it because he was, like I said, angry. Maybe he also hates women, because you have to remember, it is a woman who identified him as her sexual assailant. And so you imagine going to prison day for day, and you're sitting in that prison knowing you didn't commit a crime, and this person said you are that person, and you do 18 years for a crime you did not commit. I think you feel some type of way when you got your tail out of there towards her, towards the system, the police, the sheriff, the district attorney's office. Why wouldn't you? And you surely wouldn't like women. I can't see a man liking women at that point. I can't. I'm just saying. Of course, he would have animosity, hatred, bitterness towards the world in general, but women specifically. Okay? And I think maybe if he did do the crime, he harbored resentment toward that lady, even though he said he forgave her and she apologized to him. That ain't nothing when you sat and gave up most of your life in prison with a bunch of animals and you didn't do something. And people say you did, and then they exonerate you later through DNA. Oh yeah, you'd feel some type of way. And any of you out there that say you wouldn't, you're a lie, and you know you're a liar, because you'd be livid and angry. There wouldn't even be no words to describe how you would feel. And I pray I never have to sit in that position, because as you see nowadays, you can end up in one or two places fooling with these fools out here. You could end up in that concrete 6 feet below, or you could end up in that box doing time for a crime you didn't commit, or you was provoked and lost your sense of way, direction, and went ham. It can go down, because it happens to people every day. Like I said, I don't know what happened that day with Teresa Hallback. And yes, it looks bad on his part that he may have committed the crime, because it was on his property that her automobile was found at the salvage yard and her bones were found at the back of his house in a burn pit. It's up to you to decide. But Brendan Dassey right now is seeking a pardon from the Wisconsin governor. I'll bring you an update. And thanks for listening. Thanks for sharing. Thanks a lot. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.